It's not because I'm an olodo. I'm not an olodo. I'm not an olodo.
Come and fly away with me. Come and fly away with me.
Guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Favor Sky on this channel. If this is your first time of seeing this face on this channel, please don't make it your last. Like, subscribe, share, drop a comment, and hop on the ride. Let's roll together. Guys, let's get to business straight. I'll try as much as possible to keep this straight and as detailed as possible, but I'm going to put out a disclaimer there. I am not an immigration agent. I am not a visa agent. So whatever information I'm putting out now, guys, is based on the experience I had while applying or while going through the process. Okay, so please take note of that. So guys, yes, you all know I currently moved to Canada, and you've been requesting I make a video, explaining the whole process. Now, this explanation may not be so concrete because I used an agent, okay? So whatever information I give you now is based on the information I got from the agency. Okay, it's actually an agency, but they were very, very transparent. Like, they actually let me into the process that I managed to gather enough information on how this whole thing works, okay? And that is where my own information to you is coming from. All right. So guys, I came into Canada as a permanent resident, and I applied from Nigeria, and I got it, to the glory of God. Canada actually runs an express entry program where all eligible candidates, individual or persons are invited to apply, okay? Now, it could be either the FSW, the PNP, and the other ones, but these are the two I actually know of. FSW means Federal Skilled Workers, and PNP is the Provincial Nomination Program. I use the Federal Skilled Worker. Now, the two actually, there's a difference with the two. You also come into Canada, but there's a difference. For the Federal Skilled Workers, you can decide to move to any province in Canada. I am in Nova Scotia now. I can decide to move to Toronto, to any province of my choice. But for the provincial nomination, that means a province in Canada nominated you. They're asking you to come, but you have to indicate interest in that province first. Okay, and then this province will invite you. You either indicate interest, or while in the FSW, or while in the entire pool, you get picked by this province too. If there is a provincial draw, okay, you can also get picked. I don't know if you understand. But then if a province should pick you, you're moving to that province. Like, you can't move to, if Ontario picks you, you can't move to Nova Scotia. If Nova Scotia picks you, you can't go to Toronto. I don't know if you get my point. But if it is FSW, the Federal Skilled, you're free to move anywhere. Now, what are the processes involved? Okay, I'm going to give my own story. So it will now be, do you understand? Yeah, so it won't be like I'm giving one. I'm going to give you my own story, and then you now take out from there. So my girlfriend actually started this whole process before I did. In fact, I was even of the opinion that, I just want to be traveling and coming back, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, story for another day. I decided it's okay, just start mine, because hers was like moving. I'm like, okay, this can actually work. And then I asked her, she told me the processes, and of course she also is an agency which she referred to me. I started this program last year, February. In fact, no, like that was when I made up my mind that, okay, I'm going to do this last year, February. And I reached out to the agency, and then they told me everything. I gave them, of course, I paid the agency fee. And then the first thing they asked is, have you evaluated your certificates and have you written IELTS? Of course, the answers were no. And they said, these are the first things we need for us to be able to create a profile for you. Now, evaluating your certificates means you have to evaluate your highest degree certificate. It could either be your PhD or your master's or your BSc or HND or OND. Yeah, but I know you're evaluating your highest degree. Sorry, I'm squinting because I'm facing the sun. You have to evaluate your highest degree, okay, with a body called WES. There are other professions, I think, that has their own body, but I think WES is like the general one. So if you start, you can make inquiries on the body that can also evaluate yours. Okay, so I used WES to evaluate my highest degree, which was my master's. Right now, I evaluated, I got my certificate, and of course it comes with a pay. You have to pay. I paid, okay, like I'm giving you my story. I paid $205 for WES to evaluate my certificate. My school sent, that's Unilag, sent my transcript. I applied for it in Unilag, but usually I don't know if they give, but I think it's hard to like give students a copy of their transcript. I don't know about this, but Unilag sent my transcript straight to WES. WES evaluated and then sent me the certificate. And then the certificate was what I used to create my profile. Now, the time frame for this whole WES evaluation is by the grace of God and inshallah, because that is where your patience will start to get tested. This whole process will test your faith, it will test your salvation, it will test your sanctification, it will test your Holy Ghost baptism. But you have to stand strong in God, because it was from that WES because like when you hear someone started or sent their certificates to WES, and in the space of 1 week, 2 weeks, WES evaluated and said, and then you're waiting for 3, you're waiting for 4. But you have to actually learn the act of patience in this whole process. This whole process requires patience. It's not overnight. You may hear that someone's own has taken 1 week and your own is taking 4 weeks. Be patient and pray, and just keep praying, okay? So after evaluating my WES, I actually, after the whole wait, I woke up to, one morning, checked my mail, and then WES had sent my evaluation certificate, and I thanked God because I prayed. And then the next thing was IELTS. Guys, I had to move away from there because the sun was hitting my eyes so bad and my phone was beginning to overheat. So yeah, I was saying that IELTS is the odogu of them all. Guys, let's talk about IELTS, right? Please do not make the mistake of trying to pay or register for the IELTS test before studying. No, don't pick a date before studying, because yeah, I wrote IELTS 3 times. 3 times. This is 3. Okay, now I didn't write IELTS 3 times because I was failing. No, it's because it's actually very tactical, and it's not because my head was not carrying it. Guys, before you write the IELTS test, you need to study. You need to study. IELTS has 4 modules. It has reading, it has writing, it has listening, it has speaking. And these 4 modules, they have their individual band scores. IELTS overall has a band 9 overall score. And for you to stand a very good chance, you should have at least a 7.5 over 9, or an 8, or even 8.5. Some people are even having 9. It depends on your head. So guys, these 4 modules are actually ranked differently. Speaking, a very safe band for speaking should be like 7.5 over 9. For reading, 8.0. That's if you want to be there. 8.0. For writing, 7.5. So speaking and writing, like 7.5, you are safe. If you see listening, listening, to listen, you see that listening test, if you can have 9 over 9, please do. If you cannot have 9 over 9, please have 8.5. But if you cannot have 8.5, you could leave it at 8.0. If you have 7.5 in listening, your score will drop. It will drop. And when I say your score will drop, I'm not talking about your overall IELTS score. I am talking about your CRS score. And CRS means the cumulative ranking system. That is the overall score when you've put in all parameters that the immigration that they use to pick you from the pool. We're going to get to that. But in anything you do, you see listening. You see that listening test. This listening, you can be paying attention like this. Like you want to get the answer from 1 to 20, like you're paying rapt attention. And the next thing you hear is, we have come to the end of this section. as how? Like, because of why? If this must happen to you, it should happen when you're practicing. It shouldn't happen in the exam hall. Like, it shouldn't happen in the actual test hall. If it does, as you're coming out, just instead of going straight to the exit door, just branch one of the admin's office and book another test course. Listening, yo. So guys, actually so we're talking about my story now. So I started studying for IELTS. I studied for my first IELTS. I started studying in between February, March. That's when I started studying. So one package that this agency I used to have is this: when you're using them and you've paid for the agency fee, they immediately add you to a very large group for IELTS class. Like, you keep taking the class. They won't tell you when to write your IELTS. You will tell yourself when you're ready. You know when you're ready to write this IELTS. And they even have, like, this is not a sponsored ad though, they even have times where, like, every third Saturday of the month, they write a mock test. Like, it has nothing to do with the real IELTS. Like, it's like a real IELTS test, but I mean, you're not using it. It's just like practice. It's for you to test your knowledge, to know if you are ready. So if you've written that test once and your overall score is like a 7.5, just know that, okay, you're getting there. Try the next one. If you're having like 8.0, 8.5, know that you're ready to write the main IELTS test. But if you are writing it, or even if you're practicing by yourself and you're seeing yourself having an overall score of 6.5, people are entering the pool with 6.5, but you feel pay for that pool. We're going to get to that still, but just try to always max out. Do you understand? If you're practicing with yourself, be aiming high so you can know when you're ready. So when you're ready, you know you're very sure you're ready to write the IELTS test. You go online. I used IDP IELTS, right? IDP, yes. That's the people I used in Abuja. They're also in Lagos. I know these are the two places. I don't know of other states. Some people even travel all the way from like Owerri to, I think, but I used IELTS in IDP IELTS in Abuja to write my own IELTS test. And I'm going to tell you guys why I wrote IELTS 3 times. It's not because I'm an Olodo. I'm not an Olodo. I'm not an Olodo. Okay, guys. I wrote my first test. I practiced very well. I remember one funny thing. Guys, I hope I'm not just anywhere and anyhow in this. I just gisting, right? So the first time I tried practicing, I called my girlfriend. I was like, babe, why are people saying IELTS is very hard? That I just had 28 over 40 because all the tests are like over 40, but I think reading and writing, they're over, reading and listening over 40. So I told my girlfriend, I just had 28 over 40. She tried very hard not to like tell me, what are you doing? She was like, okay, just try and put. I was like, so this is not even hard. 28 over 40. Until I went to check the band chart. There is a chart, and this chart shows you like if you have 10 to like 20, this is your band. 20 to like 25, this is your band. Guys, when I checked what band for 24 or 28 was, it was band 5.5. Like, move. That was when I said no. So guys, I started studying and then I booked for the tests. On the test day, I thought I was prepared. Now, because of how tactical listening and reading can be, I actually thought I can speak well, so I didn't put too much. I don't know if I can speak well. So I didn't put too much into speaking, too much practice into speaking and writing. I did not, because to me I was like, since they said it's just answer, be bold, try to talk. I didn't put too much too much effort. And for the writing, I was like, okay, it's just the little practice I had. But I was you see, there reading and listening, I kept putting too much effort in it. And then I went into the exam. The exam started. I took the listening test. To me, I was 100% satisfied. I took the reading test, 100% satisfied. Then the next was the writing test. And the writing can either be paper-based or computer-based. I think they've scrapped paper-based. I don't know, but you can make your inquiries. So I actually picked computer-based because computer-based, the result comes out in like 3 to 5 days, but for paper-based, it comes out in 2 weeks. So depending on how urgent you want your results. So I used the computer-based, and yeah, I started typing. I'm not so good with like typing very fast. I remembered vividly that by the time the time was up, like the time was showing on the screen, at the time that it was up, I had not finished a sentence. Yo. But there's nothing you can do now. You cannot ask for it. There's nothing you can do. The computer will even shut down on its own, and then you stand up and go. And then the last was the speaking test. And to me, okay, I know I didn't do well for that speaking because I was, when it's your first time and then you're facing the examiner. The examiner can either be online or in person, but my own that day was in person, so I was looking like the woman straight eyeball to eyeball. I knew at some point I was blabbing. I think I almost said my name was Chijoke instead of Favor. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, 3 or 4 days later, the results came out, and I had an overall 7.5 over 9 band for my first IELTS. Now, I presented these results to the agency and then also my work certificate, and it was time for them to create a profile for me. That is when you even need to start creating a profile, when you have these 2 things ready. Now, before you create a profile, in case you're doing it yourself, there is this cumulative ranking system. You can just go on Google and type cumulative ranking system, right? You tap on it, it will bring out, it's more like a calculator. It will help you calculate your CRS score. That's the cumulative ranking system score. Now, this requires age. Now, I think when you hit 30, your score may drop. So it's like from, 20, in your 20s, or that's when you stand a very good chance. But once you hit 30, it will drop actually. Even if you're in the pool, even if you enter the pool at age 28 and then you've stayed in that pool for long until you hit 30. Once you hit 30 in that pool, your score will drop. If you had like 450 and you hit 30, your score you may lose 20 marks or 30 marks. I don't know if you get my point. I'm not sure of the marks you lose, but you definitely lose a mark when you hit 30. So you're going to put your age in that calculator. You're going to put your qualifications, everything is there, your work experience. I think they need like 3 years. I think either 1 or 3 years work experience. Other things there. Do you have a relative living there? Like when I say relative, I don't mean your uncle's sister's brother's wife. I mean like your blood sister or blood brother, your mother, your father. Yeah. So if you're putting all these things there, the informations are there. It will not calculate your score for you. It may be forced using you also put in your IELTS results, and this IELTS results you put, you don't put it as per the overall 7.5. You put it as listening, you had this, reading, you had this, speaking, you had this, and writing, you had this. That's how it's calculated. Okay, and then at the end you now see overall. So when mine was calculated, I had 417 using all those parameters: my age, my masters, my work experience, my IELTS, blah 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 blah. Yeah. 417. And then I used the health knock. There are so many knocks you can choose. I used health. You can choose agric, you can choose tech, you can choose whatever. There are knocks. I think it was even updated this year. You can just pick the one that you can bring. It's where you're working. In fact, please be truthful in anything you do. If not, for ban. So I picked knock. I picked my health knock, and then after everything 417. So I now went back to previous draws, and then I noticed that like this was happening in 2024. Like in 2022, they were having like draws with 360 something, 390 something, some like 407. Until I saw like 420 something, I was like, okay, but since they've had like 3 something or 407, for me to have 417, I'm safe. So I'll just stay in the pool, right? Guys, I didn't talk about my results when they came out. So for my results, I had reading 8.5 over 9. I had listening 8.5 over 9. I had speaking 7, and I had writing 6.5. Guys, that writing I had 6.5 dropped my score. The speaking I had 7 dropped my score. But then since the overall was still 417, I was like, okay, let's do it. Nobody told me at that time that you can remark your IELTS, but not reading and listening, because reading and listening, they are OBJ, so like the answers are there, they are fixed. But you can rewrite your speaking and your writing. If you're not okay with your score, with your overall band, you can apply for a remark. Nobody told me that you apply for a remark, it's either your score changes to a higher one or it will remain the same, like it will not change to drop. So my fear was, because of that writing where I didn't finish the sentence, I didn't know that my score cannot change. I was thinking, may they not go see, waiting, they no been see, my score go can't drop. Do you get that fear? So yeah, that was why I didn't remark. The option came when my girlfriend even said try and remark. The agency said remark. I was like, please won't I leave my score like that? Ignorance is a disease. Guys, if I had remarked with the 8.9, 8.5, 8.5 I had in reading and listening, if I had remarked that speaking and maybe the writing and they add 0.5, and maybe the speaking becomes 7, and that other one, even if it remains at 7, guys, my CRS score would have skyrocketed from like 417 to almost 440 or even 450. In fact, when I checked it, it was 458. Like when I later checked what my CRS score would have been if I had remarked, it was around 458. But we're going to get to that. So I stayed in the pool with 417. They created my profile. I don't know how to create a profile because I didn't create one myself. The agency created. But a lot of people I see that do it themselves, they say it's actually quite easy, but you have to be very careful. Do you understand? But you can make inquiries on how. So guys, I stayed in the pool and I started waiting for whenever they will have a healthcare draw. Okay. In July, they had a healthcare draw. And guys, they used 435 for the healthcare draw. And that was when I realized the whole IELTS thing that you can actually remark. So imagine I remarked and I had that's 450 something, meaning I could have been picked in July. Guys, that whole experience, because there were times I'll be at work, when I remember it, I'll be like, shit. There are times I'll be editing a vlog, when I remember it, I'll drop my phone, I'll be like, but yeah, God's timing is the best, actually. Yeah, I actually beat myself up that period. You know, when you're living in so much pain, it was actually crazy, but there was nothing I could do. My mom will always say, what is of no remedy should be of no regard. So just beat yourself up and then pick up and continue. So of course I remained in the vlog, in Okwanomuna YouTube. I remained in the pool and yeah, other draws were coming, French, PNP, CEC. I think CEC is Canada experience for those already in Canada, maybe students that applied, you know. And then in November, they had another healthcare draw. I remember vividly, I was lying down on the floor in my parlor. And then I went, there's this OJC group I'm in, and I also follow him on Instagram. So he posted a healthcare draw. I said, God, please, oh. And I saw the CRS score they used. Okay, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. So after that first draw in July, I was like, so what do I do? Can I remark now? They said no, there's actually a time frame. I think 2 weeks after writing your test, you have to apply for remark immediately. So because of that, for me to increase my score, I hope it's not getting dark. For me to increase my score, I had to write another IELTS. So that was where my second IELTS came in. So I think I wrote the IELTS in that July, or maybe in August. I wrote that IELTS in August. So I started studying again. Because I used so much fear to study for that IELTS, I fell sick. Like I was overwhelmed. I was having crazy migraine. My insomnia was mad. And the last thing you should do to yourself is to enter an IELTS center sick or not in your right senses, you're gonna yo. So guys, I knew that second one. I actually knew now that it's going to be whack because I was down. So I entered the exam, the test hall. I wrote to the best of my knowledge. Because I was not concentrating, I missed a lot on that listening, and that was when I knew that now this is bullshit, because that listening, yeah. So my result came out. I had a 7.0, but that day I applied, I had overall 7.0 over 9, which is bad. It's not like it's bad, but it's going to reduce your CRS score. I don't know if you understand. I immediately applied for remark. You know, they tell person. So after I remarked, it now came to 7.5 over 9. But then, you know, listening is objective. It can't change. And my listening was 7.0. It was actually very bad, like very bad. 7.0 would drop my score. I think even when I went back to the CRS calculator to calculate, because of that listening, my score dropped from the first one, which was 417, to like 410. So it was actually crazy. And yeah, I now told them, listen, IELTS at the moment is 266,000, and I've done this twice. Like, I'm done. I'll just remain in the pool with that first result. Whenever they decide to reduce, I just hope I'm not so, I don't know, manage the quality, please. Just, at least you're hearing what I'm saying. So I was like, you guys should just use the one that is already in my first one. Just use it that way. I'm tired of writing this test and also spending so much money. But then when subsequent draws started dropping, and I was seeing that these people were now increasing their CRS score, that the score they're now using to pick from the pool is getting higher day by day. And if I remain with 417, I may not stand a chance. Ozubo. I started studying again, and this time around I calmed down. I made sure I even had to pay a private tutor. He was giving me models to study with, you know, putting me through the listening, the speaking, and everything. I paid another 266,000 for the IELTS test, for the third IELTS test. And I went in for the test calm. I was not sick, nothing. I wrote, and then the result came out, and I still had a 7.5 over 9. I'm at 7.5 now, like 3 IELTS, 7.5 over 9. But this time around, all the models were okay. My listening was 8.5 over 9. My reading was 7.5, but on the CRS score, 7.5 will also give you a very high score. That's why I told you to focus on listening, right? But that doesn't mean you should neglect others. And then writing was around 7.5, and then speaking 7.0. But this whole result gave me a CRS score of 478. So imagine you have been in the pool with 417, and then all of a sudden I'm at 478. That was what my third IELTS actually gave me, which I just thank God. So I remember that day I was dancing. I was dancing at work. I immediately called my relationship manager, because of course the agency will give you like people you work with from their agency. I was like, girl, please update this thing immediately, because as you're writing IELTS, you can go back to the profile you created to update your results and profile tickets. So I told her, please go and update this thing immediately for me, which she did. And then of course I was now in the pool with a 478 CRS score. And then in November 20th, they had that healthcare draw I told you I saw. OJC, he posted on his Instagram. So I was like, God, please, what's the CRS score? What's the score? And it was 463. 463, and I had 478. So it was like a crossing of legs, sipping of wine thing. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I can remember, even though I'd not received the email, like the invitation to apply, I remember I was rolling on the floor. I was, oh Lord, have mercy. And then that night I got the email. You have been invited to apply, like invitation to apply. We call it it's called the ITA email, like invitation to apply email. They'll send it to you, and then they'll give you a 60 days. I think 60 days time frame for you to apply. And then this is where you have to now gather all your documents. Like you start gathering documents, you gather your, that's work you said you're doing, the one that gives you the the ITA, the one you got the ITA with. You go there, get your reference letter, your work reference letter, get your POF, your proof of funds. You get what again? A police clearance certificate. You get what again? Yeah, another documents you also need to gather. You gather these documents, and then you also gather your $1,610. That's the visa application fee. You gather these things. Once you know you've gathered these documents, and try as much as possible to gather it before the time elapses, okay? Because I think sometimes even if you submit on that day, I don't know, but try as much as possible to utilize the 60 days you're given. You submit, pay the money, and that when you pay that money, that's your AOR date. That's the day they send you your, they send an acknowledgement of receipt, like they have received this money. Guys, is this thing getting, oh guys, see the way I'm turning around looking for light. So yeah, once you pay that money and you've submitted those documents, that's your AOR date, that's acknowledgement of receipt date, and that is when you start waiting for 6 months. Wait, no, at this thing, Kalele. You now start waiting for 6 months, because of course in the letter, in the acknowledgement of receipts, they'll tell you there it takes 6 months. I think they've even increased it to 7 months now. It takes six months for them to process your application, right? So you just sit down and wait. Now once you pay, some people in few days, some people in 1 week, some people in 2 weeks, some people in 1 month, some people in 2 months. Like every application is different, okay? Is different. So it's happened to A like this does not mean it to happen to B the same way, right? So you just sit and wait. After your AOR, the next thing is for them to send you a biometrics and medical letter for you to go for your biometrics and then for your for your medical. So I paid on the 31st of December 2024, and I got my biometrics and medical letter on the 9th of January. Immediately I went for, that's my tour and fro Abuja, yeah. I went for my biometrics and my medicals. I did them in January, and then my biometrics was updated on my profile that day, and my medicals was updated on the 18th of January, right? So after you're done with medicals and biometrics, the next thing is either approval or they say mba. So that's when you start praying, start hoping on God, start doing everything you know you have to do, right? So I started waiting from January. I waited February, March, April. I say, God, the pressure became worse. Guys, this was when I was like, God, I beg, like, yo, God, I don't want to, guys, I don't know how to, I'm actually smiling now, but all the times I dropped vlogs, you know, with these months I listed, all the times I dropped vlogs behind the scene, girl was a praying girl, was a, so yo guys, it was actually a lot, but I thank God, I give God the glory now. So in May, in April, I traveled to Owerri, you know, to see my parents. And in Owerri, now guys, while waiting for approval or refusal, God forbid, you can either receive a mail from them for an ADR or a PFL. An ADR is additional requirements or additional document requirements. Yeah, it could be maybe you missed out one document, and then the visa officer handling your case is nice enough to tell you, please send this document, or the ones she sent are not clear, resend this document. That's additional requirements, like the document is missing or we want you to get another document. Fine, that's, if you get an ADR, fine, you know, no panic, just give them. And some people, once you answer or submit that ADR, some people that day or the next day they get approved, or depending, like I told you, all applications are not the same. But if you get a PFL, that is a procedural fairness. High BP, bim. because the letter even states that it be like say they won't refuse you, but because say they won't see if they feel consider you, make you do this thing. Say if you not do am within this time frame, it don't be that. So that's procedural fairness. And guys, in a way, I remember I remember I was in the kitchen with my mom and I got an email. I opened it. It was a PFL. My heart was beating. But of course, I don't know. To the glory of God, I have this like, whenever I'm in this kind of situation, I don't panic. Like, I just hand everything over to God. But luckily for me, they gave me 30 days to answer that PFL. And the PFL was because I used a microfinance bank. So guys, when you're submitting your proof of funds, I will have, even the agency told me, they told me, please don't use a microfinance bank, go and get a commercial bank. But I was like, it's difficult, that they're not answering me, do you understand? I said, please, people should just use this MFB, because I heard some people use it and they also scale through. But like I said, the visa officer handling yours is different from the visa officer handling another person's case. So they told me, like, it's not as if they didn't tell me, but then they asked me, the PFL was, they are not sure because it's a microfinance bank and the land microfinance banks are for poor people in Nigeria. So they are not sure I'll be able to access these funds when I arrive Canada. So I should prove to them that I'll be able to access those funds when I arrive Canada. Yeah, the only way was to move those funds to a commercial bank, and then I printed the statement and the reference and everything. I submitted to them, and so they saw that I can actually have access to it. Like I was able to move those funds from that microfinance bank to a commercial bank. I submitted the PFL to them in May. I submitted those documents on the 7th of May. And I submitted those documents here on the 7th of May. And then on the 8th of May, I came back to Abuja. I remember that day in the hotel, I just dropped everything and I slept off. I woke up and I got a mail ready for visa. The RFV mail, like the RFV mail. And when you get an RFV mail, that means your application was successful, like it's been approved. Guys, they dance while I dance. Guys, they dance. The excitement, I called my mom immediately. I was like, I've gotten the RFV mail, like they've approved my visa application. Like it was yo, I just give God the glory. And because I was in Abuja, I was like, and I was supposed to go back to Kaduna the next day. I was like, for what? The next day, I gathered all the documents because the RFV mail, the ready for visa mail, contains information of the documents you should submit. You should come with like passports, and you also have to print that mail they sent to you. What again is there? Like you just read and then gather the things. Guys, the next morning, I went to the studio, I took pictures, passport photographs, I gathered all my documents straight to VFS, the VFS office, straight. I submitted everything. And yeah, so when you submit, you wait for 3 weeks. They tell you to wait for 3 weeks. Some people's own, like I told you, it can take 1 week, it can take 2 weeks, it can take 1 month, it can take 2 months. But to the glory of God, mine took 3 weeks. I was like, God, you don't do. I'm tired of waiting. But do this one for me now. But God did it for me. In fact, I think it was like a day to the 3 weeks that I got the mail that my passport is ready for collection. Like my stamped passport is ready for collection. And that was when I did that dance. It was even with this stuff, guys. I did that dancing video. I collected my stamped passport. Yeah, I booked my tickets, my one-way tickets. I started selling off my properties. I started, all the things, and I relocated. That's my story. So guys, let me try and retouch on maybe things I may have missed about that PFL, the procedural fairness I got. Now, it doesn't mean that once you reply, once you submit, that they will approve immediately. they may be satisfied and say, okay, fine. They may not still be satisfied, and they'll be like, girl, you're yapping. I don't know what you're talking about. Please go. Do you understand? So everything is based on being truthful in anything you are doing, because these people are becoming stricter. Like, is there a word? Stricter. They are becoming very strict. Like, you have to be truthful. If your name is Favor, say your name is Favor. If your name is Caro, say your name is Caro. If you are 20, say you are 20 years old. If you don't, say you are 21, because and whatever information you're putting out there remains on their database. Do you understand? You can't even come tomorrow to it will be misinformation, right? And if you say you have a spouse that is not accompanying, and then you gain points because of that, and then once the whole thing starts, because you think you've gotten to a safe point, you now start saying you have a spouse that is accompanying, it is misrepresentation, and they may, if it's a visa officer that, you know, the person will be like, but if it's someone that is considerate, they'll ask you, you know, to explain yourself and all that. It all boils down to who is handling your file. Okay, and one thing is this: your profile can expire. Your profile expires every year. So if you open a profile in March of 2024, by March 2025 it will expire. You have to create another one. Your IELTS also expires every 2 years. So if you write your IELTS test and you maxed out everything, but then you've been in the pool with this IELTS and they've not picked you from the pool, and 2 years has elapsed, you write another IELTS. So you can see how very funny this thing is. Like I said, it's only by the grace of God and inshallah. Do you understand? Guys, I know some of you may want to reach out to me. Like, I can easily tell you, oh, this is the agency I used, but you will not come on one condition. You will not come to me and say, oh, Favor, why are these people like this? At least for you to want to do this thing, we are all adults, right? So you should be able to be accountable for whatever decision you take. I use these agents and they were good to me, does not mean they will be good to you. And if they're not good to you, you can't come to say, Favor Sky, you recommended nonsense. By the way, they are not even asking me to recommend. I'm just telling you that these are the people I used. I don't know if you get my point. So if I'm able to give you their handle, that's the best I know I can do for you. This information was because I worked with them, right? So they will give you every other thing you need to know. There is no point coming to me again to ask. I don't know if you get my point, because I can't answer everybody. I can't be in my DM because I'm answering one particular question. No. So if I give you their handle and then you reach out to them, for those of you that are interested, please don't come back to me again to ask me further questions. It will be overwhelming. Trust me, it will be overwhelming. And if I ignore your DMs because of this particular thing, don't say I'm being mean or anything, okay? Because I can't answer everyone. I don't know if I've touched. If you think I did not touch a particular area you're actually interested in, please feel free. Come to my DM and say, oh, you missed this part. I want to make inquiries on this part. I'll answer you. Do you understand? Yeah. But guys, always also check the IRCC website. IRCC websites. They always update it. So the information I give now may not be the same. Like, assuming I made this video telling you that the POF I used was this. I think 3 weeks ago they increased the POF. So always check their websites to know if there are changes, and then also how to go about these changes. Okay. I just hope I've been able to clear some things. I'm sure this will be very long. I'm sure maybe I've blabbed in some parts, but please just listen to it as gist. You can even put an earpiece in your ear, go around your walk, and then listen to everything. But don't forget my ads, okay? I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Kisses. Bye.